on my way. Finally woke up with some luck in the book. I don't give a what someone say. Finally got my friends in the back on my roller. We gon' make it big one day. We gon' make it big, I say. We gon' make it big, just stay in there. Stay in the moon. Stay in the moon right with me. Give you a moment. Give you a moment with me. Smell all the roses.
Guys, what's going on? Welcome to Embrace the Power Age. We got Becca Grabinski on today. We're going to talk about her book, The Light Is Soul on Fire, but the one thing we want to talk about is most people in their lives will deal with turbulent times. It's how you deal with those turbulent times. And some of us use the prayer of serenity, is that, I can only fix the things I can fix, and those that I can't fix, I just got to let go. And it falls really in line with the light of your soul on fire. And it talks about being resilient. Becca, me and Mike G want to say, what's up, girl? How you doing?
Welcome.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here.
And so what I want to do is touch off bases, because we talked yesterday and you were talking about you were from Minnesota. So I need to know how you left the frozen Arctic of Minnesota and ended up here in Florida.
I was 11 years old. My dad was a truck driver, and I got to go on my first summer trip with him. And we went to Pensacola Beach, and I saw the ocean for the first time, and something shifted in me. And it was like, that's where I belong. So over the course of from 11 to age 37, I've had multiple opportunities to move down here. I had a sales job where my territory was down here. My ex-husband had a territory down here, and I kept feeling the fear and not moving and not moving and not moving. And so I waited until it was the most inconvenient time. Ex-husband in Minnesota, 3 kids in school. Let's make it a little bit more exciting. And I called my ex-husband up and I said, can I please live in Florida? And he's like, I was just waiting for you to ask. So we figured it out. We fly the kids back and forth. We still have 50-50. And we've just, wave your magic wand. How do you want this to go? And then do it. If we look around the world and we say, well, if we don't see anybody doing this, maybe it's not possible. And all the people that told me, they were like, yeah, there's no way you can still balance this and still do that with kids. And I was like, watch me.
Oh, but that, you're right. I mean, it's all about life's challenges and stepping forward. So, I read your book and I told you that. And actually, it's a good read. So everybody out there, let me just tell you, The Light of Your Soul on Fire is a good read. I mean, because it honestly touches on life. And and you exposed yourself. Let me be clear. So if anybody wants to think that this is going to be some suburban night love story, no, she Becca really exposed herself and says, hey, this is reality. This is how life works. And I really love it. So what drove you to write the book, Beck?
Well, I didn't want to write it, first off. There was something pulling on my heart that was like, you need to tell your story, because you have been through so much, and the way that you not only took what you were going through, you were willing to see it differently, you were willing to heal it, you were willing to move it into a higher viewpoint and move through it in a way where everybody wins. So how many people do we see in the world, right, that things happen and they get them down and they don't get back up? So first off, I needed to figure out how to get back up. Secondly, I wanted to tell the world, hey, there's hope for you in divorce. There's hope for you in loss of a child. There's hope for you in, parent divorce. There's hope for you in your entire career shifting. There's hope for, getting fired, right? There's hope for you in life.
Yeah, you touched on that too.
Yeah, it's all in there, all of my dirt. I remember when I was submitting it. So I self-published it the very first time. I didn't even have an editor read it because I was so afraid for somebody to hear my story. So I was just almost threw up, had my bag ready to throw up, and I hit submit on the self-published. And then I was like, oh my God, did I really do it? And then thankfully it was 48 hours until it was live. And then I literally sat there for 2 weeks, biting my fingernails off, waiting for people to read it. And at that point there was, multiple errors and whatever. And I didn't even care. The goal was here's my human self. Here's my message. This is what I want you to know. And I want you to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, I like the point when you said about eras. And this is, I mean, I grew up in Europe, so I've always struggled between the German language and the English language, and my grammar's horrible. And so people used to always say, man, you got so far in life, and well, your grammar is not. You know what I told them? I said, that's authentic me. I said, so at one point I used to look at it as like this negative thing that would cause me to kind of go into a shell. Then at one point I decided I don't care anymore. I'm literally going to be okay with who I am and where I'm going. And that's what resonated with me with your book. But also what resonated me with your book was when you talk about parents and you talk about the time your dad missed your graduation and the impact it had on you. I don't know, I realize that a lot of people's profound, that resonates with more people than you know. And so I want to kind of touch on not just the fact that you talked about your dad missing that event, but, I'm sure people that have read the book have said something to you because that relationship, when those events like that happen, really have long-term effects on people. And so how did, I realize you just let the audience know how you dealt with your dad missing your graduation and then how it made you evolve as who you are today.
Your soul has a message for you. So get your copy today. Light Your Soul on Fire, written by Becca Grabinski.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So my dad's been my biggest teacher. Thank you, Dad. And we all have that one person, right? That's just like, grows us,
Yes.
grows us. And so he said, like, I want you to go to St. Cloud State. I want you to live at home. I want you to let this be easy. And of course, I don't listen to what people tell me. I did it my way. So I went to a tech school. I went to a school in Wisconsin. I ended up failing out of school. Lo and behold, coming back to St. Cloud State and graduating with a finance degree. So ended up doing what he said. I just had to play outside of the lines first. I don't regret it. And it was so important.
Well, we all have to color outside the lines.
Right? No, I'm not playing. Tell me what to do and I'm going to do everything else. And then I'll come back and be like, yeah, your way was right. But I had to navigate all the other avenues first. And so I told him for a year the date of my graduation. And so he's a truck driver and he hauls the really heavy, oversized, overweight all across the US.
The big
loads,
stuff.
right? So yeah. So obviously when he's gone for 6 weeks, right? So it's a difference. So I can't necessarily navigate that. But so he wasn't there. And I had told him over and over and over again, you're the one that pointed me to this direction. You're the one that should be here for this, right? And he wasn't. And that was really, really difficult. And so March 6th of 2022 of this year was the first time he ever said he was proud of me. And
What?
the cool thing was, you guys, I didn't need it. I didn't need him to say he was proud of me. It was I've been waiting all my life for my dad to see me and to notice me and to accept and love me. And what I realized is that I had to accept and love myself, that I had to quit doing things for dad's approval. And I had to do something for me.
So self-validation is what you're talking about. Is that at some point when you start self-validating yourself, it's really funny how you no longer have to, need that approval. Because I kind of had a similar situation with my dad. And then one day I realized something. You weren't there when I needed you. So I'm going to be okay without you. But my self-validation was I put my energy into my kids so they kind of offset when I had my daughters, that offset my approach. So now that you've been through that, now you look at your kids, how do you approach it?
Well, that's a great question. I've told them that there's no definition of what a mom or a dad is. And if we take the definition that society gives us and we put them in this box, they're never going to meet our expectations and we suffer. So instead we look at, okay, here's my dad. A couple weeks ago, I was just in Minnesota and I called him up and I'm like, hey, Dad, I haven't seen you for forever. Are you going to be home? And he's like, well, I could be home, but I'm not going to be because lots of people are taking off for the 4th. And I said, Dad, call your work and tell them your daughter is home from Florida. She is very important and I want to see her. You know what he says to me? The only thing important to me right now is making money.
So he's driven by just the greenback is what you're telling me.
Yes. So it was funny because I called my mom. It didn't hurt. It didn't bother me at all, right? Because I've healed all this. But I was like, hasn't changed. If he looks like a duck and acts like a duck, it's a duck, right? So this is my dad. My dad is the man that he has been raised to believe that a good man creates an income stream, and he never stops, right? He's 67 years old.
That's
He
the
will
old
never
school.
stop.
That's old school, man.
Mm-hmm. And so honoring him, right? Whereas my mom has never missed anything in my life. My dad has never made anything in my life. I'm not going to say it. He's made some, but little different, right? And so when I tell the kids, so when I tell the kids, I say, okay, here's your options. You can look at us for face value, and you can love the person that is. And when you can love your mom for who she is, and when you can love your dad for who she is, that tells me something, that you are loving yourself for who you are.
No, that's a great point, because it took for years for me to get through my little issues, and it goes back to like mental health, and I want to touch on that, because when I read your book, I was like, wow, you could have went off the rails, because the normal Americans, if they read your book, a lot of people would literally have quit, given up. And the amount of things that happened with it. And Mike I had different statistics that I was going to run through the show of just showing that mental toughness, and most people are affected by their parents, or affected by their family, or affected by different things. So what I found out was your resiliency in your situation, because it resonates in your book, because when you get down to talking about self-sabotage, and let's just talk about self-sabotage, because even during the pandemic, a lot of self-sabotage happened because people it's just a new environment. So as you went through this process, what made you resonate to realize, you know what, I need to clean this up so I don't do, self-sabotage myself any further in life, and not blame myself for other people's actions. So let me know.
I mean, I think the big picture is we have our options, right? We can sit in the driver's seat of the car, or we can sit in the passenger seat. And every time we get in the passenger seat, the car never goes where we want it to go. I don't know if you know, right? So I must drive the car, step one. Secondly, I get to pick the desired destination. So my aha moment, when I realized how much control I had, was probably my divorce, when all of a sudden I'm sitting in my life and I have nothing, right? I have very little income stream. I have no money in the bank. I have a car that's paid for. I have rent that's pretty crazy, and I've got a 1, 3, and a 5-year-old. Now what? I told myself.
Well, run those numbers back again real quick.
1, 3, and 5. My kids.
I mean, so you had the little people.
Babies, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we started them young, and I didn't know who I was. That's kind of where the book really starts, right? Is that I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know what I wanted. I did not love myself. I felt a ton of shame. You guys, I ran towards society's story as fast as I could, right? The suburban home, the 2.5 kids, the dull, dark, and handsome man, the corporate job. It didn't work.
So you went with suburban America. What you're saying is you went with the Cinderella, suburban America, Sleeping Beauty. Everything works out.
Yeah, it didn't work at all. It didn't work at all. It was a no. I tried really hard. My life looked beautiful. Everything on the inside was screaming, "Get me out." So I ended up losing everything, and that was my wake up call. Was here's my current self, here's my desired self. What am I gonna do to get there?
Wow.
Who am I gonna be? How am I gonna show up at? Who is this person? And the one thing I decided is I'm never gonna quit. Becca, why don't you fail? Because I never quit. Have there been a lot of things that have happened that hasn't worked? Yeah. And they continue to. And it doesn't matter. You just keep showing up every day.
All right. So you went from, and Mike's going to chime in here in a second here, but you went from sales. So kind of your work history and to where you're at now. Mike's just been running through your website, which is amazing. And we'll catch that in the next section here real quick. But you went from being a person in sales and office work to, I watch your Instagram, I see your YouTube, and you're just talking about self-evaluation on a regular basis. So how did you get to where you're at today from where you started? Because you said you were in cosmetology, you were in college. See, I read the book, cosmetology. Then I went to college, and my aunt, if it wasn't for my grandmother, who just, and I'm all like, grandmothers are the best. She resonated who I am. She gave me that power and so on. So I'll shut up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I went from, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I tried to go to school for human resources, ended up cosmetology, then ended up working at a bank. in mortgages. And then I ended up wholesaling annuities. That's how I had that territory in Florida. Loved it, but then a new boss came in and tried to tell me what to do. So then I hated it, right? And so I realized, like, if you give me freedom, I will fly. If you try to touch my wings, get out of the way, right? Like, it's a no. It's
I
a
think that
no.
happens to a lot of us. So what do you do now? So because it seems like you work with a lot of people on,
Mhm,
just them overcoming their struggles, and and it's
mhm.
men and women. And so let me be clear to anybody in my audience: it's men and women, not just women go through after divorce. A lot of men go through a lot of self evaluation. So how are you helping others now, Beck?
So I have 3 different ways that I work with people right now. One is a membership for people that are like, "I don't know where to start. I wanna get my foot wet. Becca seems a little intense. I don't know if I'm yet ready for the transformation that I'm feeling called to, so I just wanna, like, tiptoe into it." So it's almost like my Instagram on steroids. Yes. And then second option is the mastermind only happens twice a year. It's beginning again August 1st to February. And that is a group of us so that you get access to me, whereas in the membership, you don't. You get access to me in the mastermind, and we elevate together consistently every single week. It has been like I was looking at these people Monday night. They don't look anything like what they look like when they started. I'm telling you, they're lighter, they're brighter, they're happier, they're more aligned. The things that have changed in their life are just like out of this world. I have an individual that manifested his dream one that wanted nothing to do with him, got a dream job. I mean, I'm telling you, these people are just creating things and creating an internal world first, and their external world is starting to show it. And then the third is VIP with me. That's where you get me one on one. We do weekly calls. You have unlimited text access to me. And I have an individual that just started working with me today. And he said we had 2 sessions last week and the week before. And his dream car shows up tomorrow. This woman reached out to him on a
What?
dating site on Monday that he wasn't even actively participating on, that he has a date Friday or Saturday. And it's phenomenal, you guys. It's watching people create. I'm literally just plucking people, connecting them with their souls and putting them in the driver's seat. That's it. My goal is that you don't need me. You just need to know how to connect with yourself, to know who you are, to know what you want, to know where you want to go, and then drive that damn car. That's it.
So my take is, why does social media is such a harsh treatment? We just had Erica Sutter on here, and she was talking about the impact on social media on women, and Mike can go right after this, and she was talking about people self-worth is a struggle these days. And I don't know if people, when they're talking to you, but people can't find their value, because back in the day, like your dad, self-value was hard work, get
Mhm.
paid, and be able to pay your bills and take care of your family. That's
Mhm.
not the
Yes.
case anymore in the new 21st century. So,
Mhm.
what's your thoughts on now that social media is the global thing? It's the new Vogue magazine of women, or young women, of
Mhm.
defining themselves.
It's a
And it,
tool. I mean, it is. It's a tool. If we're gonna use it, so if let's say let's pluck social media out of the picture completely. If it wasn't social media, it would be something else and something else and something else, right? So at the end of the day, the tool is irrelevant. It's how we're using it. Maybe could be different, but the social media or no social media isn't going to solve the problem. It's going inside to say, hey, who am I? Step one. Who am I? What do I like? If I could wave my magic wand and create my life any way I want, what would I want? There's so many people that are like removing themselves from the luxury lifestyle that was the desire. And now it's like the freedom of like all these people in like campers and like this, I don't know,
so true,
speedos
so
or
true.
something, like they're like home free, right? Like I don't own a home. I have no intentions of owning a home. I just want to lease because every 2 years I want to pick up and I want the freedom to go somewhere. And I don't know, you guys, people come and change my light bulbs. Like, don't make fun of me, but like that's a luxury, right? Like I don't even have to do
I
that.
don't
Like I
cut
don't even have to
grass
go
either.
buy
I don't
one.
cut grass either.
Right. Like so the world is changing and the desires are changing, and I think that social media actually can have such an amazing impact to help us like discover desires. So if we're using it as, oh my gosh, this person has this, that feels really good to me. If I feel jealous or I feel desire, I feel like, oh my god, I want that. If we're holding it here, we can hold it in our hand, we can have this in our life. So we can use it as a window to be able to see what we could create. And we can also use this as an indicator to be like, oh, that didn't feel good. I need to go inside and do some work.
I have a question. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, that's a great breakdown. And I was looking at your website. So, attract your dream life and master your energy. Let's break that down right now.
All
What
right.
do you?
So,
That's awesome. Yeah, 'cause that kind of catchy. I mean, that was deep, but it has elements to it. So let's break it
yeah,
down because you're the mastermind.
it does. So, everything's energy. And when we can understand how to shift energy into what we want, I'll give you a great example. So, my ex husband, he can be a very, very difficult man. And I could tell the story about how difficult he is and how it's really hard to work with him. To master energy, to live my dream life, I tell myself first, before I see evidence of it being true, that he is the most amazing ex husband, that we have an amazing co parenting relationship. So, what I'm doing in saying that, even if I don't yet believe it, energy is shifting. And
Mm,
as I continue to tell it, our subconscious mind cannot accept or reject, which means that eventually over the course of time, I'm going to believe that he is, even when I don't yet see that he is. And what happened is he became what I said he was. So the moment we look at what is and we tell the story of what is, we're continuing to propel the same story, which is creating not our dream life, right? So instead, we start to tell the story of what we want to be true. We tell the story of wealth. We tell the story of abundance. We tell the story of love. We tell the story of amazing relationships. And that is the shifting of the mastering of energy.
mm,
Imagination is a God given gift. That's why we
amen.
use it. Imagination shifts energy in who we want to be and what we want to create. So I can take your life, your desire, or your current self, your current life. We can look at that and be like, okay, what do you like? What don't you like? Okay, let's get rid of stuff you don't like. Desired life. Now, what do we want to create? How does this get to look? Put it here. Okay, here are the tools that we're going to work with every single day, just like we go to the gym, right? We lift our weights. The moment we stop, our muscles start to deteriorate. This is the exact same thing. Every single day we show up and we work on telling the story that we most want to be true.
There we go. So another question. There we go. That made me understand some things there, Vincent. You're on point right now. So the Luxury Life Blueprint Journal.
Yes. So I
Let's
was in
break that
Costa
down.
Rica. Yes, I was in Costa Rica in November doing a retreat for 12 women. And one of the things that came through was, hey, Becca, you have all these processes that help you shift your energy. So, like, you look at maybe a situation where you're triggered and you write the trigger in, you write, what are you making this mean? And then the question you ask yourself is this ultimately true? What we're doing is we're digging deep into perspective and perception, right? And the answer is always no, it's not ultimately true. So then the question is, what would we rather be true? And we shift into that. And so that what would we rather be true is shifting the energy, which is creating what we want. Now we're no longer triggered and we've healed the trigger like that. It's like instant healing. So that's just one of the processes that are in there. But what it does is it takes you through a blueprint of creating your best life by using all of my tools in one place. So somebody can maybe work with me for 6 months and then take the journal and like go into their life and to continue the process, just like lifting the weight, right?
Oh yeah.
So that was requested when we were there in
Oh,
Costa Rica. Like, Becca, why don't you have something where we don't have to like remember all of this because it's in your head, which isn't helping anybody else?
that's right. You got to get it out of your head.
Yeah, yeah.
And so Beck, you shaped the journey and you shaped the tools that you use to get where you're at. And
Mhm.
you also are laying down the foundation for a lot of people out there. And everybody, her book's on Amazon. You can get on Amazon, get a copy of it. I got one. And it's an easy read. It's really a good read. And it's actually heart touching because I liked it. And
Thank
but
you.
you're talking about retreats and you're talking about people finding themselves. I think the struggle in today's society, though, is people. And you said something earlier, and I wanted to wait to get back, and I'm going to rewind and go back to it. You touched on materialistic perspectives,
Mhm.
and in a Western society, and I say Western because you don't find this in most of the third world countries, is that in Western society, people are so driven about name brands, labels, and titles and what they have. that they sometimes end up losing sight of who they are. And I'm gonna give a great example, and then I'll let you answer or respond. In the military, most of the time when you graduate, high school, you go in the military, you're given a title. You have that title for 20 years, 15 years, whatever, or 30 years, like I had it for 30 years. But what I found is that with many of my friends, since they've retired and we go play golf or hang out, they struggle with self-identity because they forgot the day they were born. Like I was born Vincent Bugs. So the day I retired, someone goes, well, you're retired general. No, I'm Vincent Bugs again. So for me, my transition from the military, taking off my uniform, put my civilian clothes on, became when I realized I'm no longer in that body. I'm Vince Bugs again, which means I have to reincarnate Vince Bugs because Vince Bugs has been on the shelf for 30 years. So how, as you're talking to people, how do you make them resonate to understand that as they evolve, it's not the title that's so important, but understanding just freaking, because there's a lot of people don't know who they are, Beck.
Yeah.
It's a bigger population than people know. Some people don't do self-assessment and then when they get feedback. So let me ask you a question. So when you're giving feedback and self-assessment, some people get butthurt when you say, hey man, this is what my reality of how I see you. And this is what I think you should do. So how do you deal with that dialogue of people having to leave one life or they get laid off and they go, well, that was the dream job and I can't believe they fired me. Like when the Army makes people retire, they go, I can't believe the Army let me go. Yeah, they let you go because it had an expiration date. You know?
Yeah. Well, and transition and transformation is my absolute favorite thing to work through because we're leaving one piece of our life, one season, right? And we're writing a new story. And in this new story, it's blank. You literally have a blank canvas. So it's actually my favorite place to be with somebody is retirement, new job, divorce, new marriage, new kids, all the different things that happen in our life, because now you've got this blank slate. I put them in the driver's seat. I get them connected. Now, what do you want? How do you want this to go? Do you want this to go well? Or do you want this to be hard? Do you want this to be a struggle? So I have a client of mine that just got a divorce earlier this year. And 6 months after, she's like fully rocking it. 6 months.
But she got rid of her problem.
Yeah, but there's so much less suffering, right? Because we're not hanging on to this old energy. Old, past is depression, future is anxiety, and the only place we can feel good and whole and connected is in the present moment. Right?
Wow. All right, I'm gonna give you that one.
So, you get yourself present, you move into where you currently are and you decide, how do I want this to go? And then the work, right? The work is in, why don't I think I can have it? Why don't I think this is possible? And that's where Becca comes in, because I can find these limiting beliefs and I can help you shift them, which clears the energy, which brings in the life that you want. You become an energetic match.
Okay, so if somebody watches this and they see it on LinkedIn, or they'll see it on YouTube or whatever, or on Instagram, how do they reach out to you? How do they book you? How do they get you in if they want to have a conference and have you come in as a guest speaker, or any kind of organization that's saying, you know what, let's I saw this on Coastal Connection, and I want to get back here and see if Ms. Grabinski can help us out. How do we get there? All right.
Awesome. So on my website, there's places where you can book sessions with me. You can do an individual session. The only way to get in on my VIP is to message me directly. You can do that on the website or through any social media. And
I didn't think you were going to answer anyway after I saw your videos and read some of your stuff. I was like, I sent her a message. I told Mike, I said, I'm going to send her a message, but she most likely won't hear back from her. Oops, my bad.
Oh, yeah. I actually personally respond to as many messages as I possibly can. It gets insane. It's insane. And I think that personal touch is so important, right? We're here to have connection, and we're here to meet people where they're at. And so I love the fact that I'm the one typing on the other side and I'm the one reading the message. And so then there's sometimes, you guys, where I have to call people up, like, those messages, no, these messages are good. It's a little clearing that needs to happen.
I like how you just slid that one in there real quick.
Come on, people, do better.
Hey, well, there's some people that just didn't get, they don't have social media etiquette. They missed that.
Yeah, well, I'm teaching them. I actually did a video. I've done a couple videos now, actually, where I'm starting to teach. Same thing on TikTok. I'm starting to teach etiquette. This is how you respond, and this is how we show up, and this is how we talk and treat people. So I do it in a very loving way.
Say it skillfully, as we say. Hey, Mike, before we close out of here, man, what do you got, bro?
This has been a very informative, very information. I love the energy level that you said. It's true. If you want the energy, you got to build your energy. You got to put it right here before you portray it and execute it. Very good stuff. I appreciate that. Nice
Thank
meeting
you,
as
Mike.
well.
Yes, you too.
It makes sense. It all makes sense, pretty much.
Yeah.
We need the guidance sometimes of some person like you that's positive and says, "Hey, I've been there, done that. Come on, I'll show you how to get out of it."
Well, and I think at the end of the day, right, society used to be the harder you work, you can get to where you want to go. And I'm just thinking, you guys, let's this be easy. Let's have fun. Easy and fun. That's where we're going.
Hey, Beck, I appreciate you, bottom of my heart. Hey, definitely I'll get back with you so I can get we got some new shirts going to be coming in the fall. So I'm definitely going to get you a new version of the new shirt because they're bad. So
I would love that.
Oh, that was nice, but we're going to get the new one's going to even be tighter than the ones we already have. So we got you. But hey, Once again, thank you for coming on.
Thank
rock.
you.
Always, definitely, anytime down the road, if we do a conference or something, we definitely probably will be asking you to get on the panel and help out. So with that being said, it's me and Mike G. I always say from Tampa, thank you so much. But we say keep it rolling.
Beautiful. Thank you.